Hi, I'm Alex House, and I'm here with Anna Dashinsky, Director of Psychology at the Oxford Health Clinic.
Okay.
And today we're just going to be talking a little bit about what we call the 4 types of tiredness. And this is specifically relevant to things like ME, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, Lyme disease, those kinds of illnesses. And really the key thing about this is there are actually different kinds of tiredness that we can experience, which require us to do different things to work with them. And so it's maybe relevant to people that are watching this have had experiences, for example, where sometimes they felt absolutely exhausted. They've gone and done a physical activity and actually felt better for doing it. And maybe been really surprised that actually they did more and they felt better. And other times where you felt absolutely exhausted and you've gone and done something and felt even worse for doing it. So really navigating, knowing what we actually need in any one moment to support us in really moving forwards is a really key part of kind of listening to what's happening. Yeah. And I know this concept, Anna, that you come up with around the 4 types of tiredness, that can really help with this.
Yeah.
So what are
the
4 types of tiredness?
I think the key thing to understand, pretty much what you're saying, is that a lot of people when they get ill, when they have fatigue, try and deal with it in the same way all of the time. So most people who have fatigue problems or a fatigue illness will basically try and sleep or rest in order to recover from it. And if that consistently worked, then no one would still be ill, because pretty much everyone who's got fatigue or chronic fatigue will have tried that and fairly consistently tried it. One of the things that we realised over time working with this is that actually tiredness, it's a bit like a baby crying. If a baby cries and you just keep feeding it, that's not always what the baby needs. Sometimes it needs changing or hugging or something else. And it's the same with fatigue. If you just keep giving yourself rest and sleep, it isn't necessarily addressing it. So one of the things that I observed over the time that we've been working with this and seeing really quite a few patients is that there are what I've called 4 types of tiredness. So tiredness 1 is pure physical tiredness. Now that's something that you'll be familiar with back from when you remember what it was like to go for a really long walk and be tired after it. It's kind of actually quite a nice fatigue in a way.
And it's a kind of tiredness that responds to rest, to physical rest.
Exactly that. So we kind of know that a lot of chronic fatigue is not really pure physical tiredness. And we'll talk a bit more about what I mean by that in a second. But if it was pure physical tiredness, just sleeping and resting would make it better. You'd recover from it. And that's not what's happening. So tiredness 2 is what a lot of people are stuck in, and that's what we call wired and tired. And in these videos and all our materials, we refer to that quite a lot. And wired and tired really is the state where you're still in fatigue, you're still tired, but your system is in adrenalized state the whole time. You're in stress state the whole time. So rather than being in a state where you can really heal and recover properly, really rest properly, your body is permanently acting as if you're actually running marathons or have a deadline to meet, even though you probably don't. So that's kind of wired and tired.
And that's often a very difficult state for people to be in, because they often don't sleep very well in that state, they don't rest very well in that state,
exactly.
But they don't know what else to do apart from just to keep on resting.
And you kind of know if you're in wired and tired because your mind's racing, your body's stressed, you're not really breathing properly. Again, as you say, insomnia or sleep problems are kicking in, you can't really rest and relax. That's what a lot of people with chronic fatigue are actually in most of the time.
And if someone's in wired and tired, then obviously they need to deal with the wired to be able to then rest.
Exactly. It's not just going to sleep or resting. You're trying that, you're not sleeping properly, you're not resting properly. You need to actually deal with getting the right kind of sleep and rest. So it's about reducing the level of wiredness of the system. That's how you need to address it. So that's quite a lot of the work that we do. But there are also a couple of other types of tiredness that I've observed in patients. One of them is what I call emotional tiredness. Now this may sound funny or less funny to some of you. I think for a lot of people you'll know the idea of, getting off the phone to someone who's really draining and feeling absolutely exhausted by that, or being with someone who you find very difficult and just feeling really, really tired. It's quite a heavy, tired feeling. And the idea, and this may sound a little wacky to some people, but it does seem to be borne out in our experience, is that certain kinds of being emotionally drained is physically very exhausting. And again, the problem with that is if you are emotionally exhausted by being there for everyone else, which is a key factor in a lot of people getting sick, or in supporting and caring for the people around you, then actually again sleeping and resting isn't going to address that emotional exhaustion.
I mean, part of how we sometimes talk about this kind of emotional tiredness, anyone that's seen Harry Potter, always rely on me to break down Harry Potter.
Yeah, absolutely.
For some of you may have seen the Dementors in Harry Potter, and they're literally these kind of mythical creatures that suck out your soul. And that's what it sometimes feels like.
Yeah.
Maybe certain people in our lives, which are very energetically and emotionally draining, that if someone sucked out your soul or your energy in that way, then resting may help to a point, but actually addressing the patterns that are allowing that to happen is often a key part of it.
And learning how to, I mean, for a lot of people, one of the major factors in getting sick is giving too much, being there for other people all the time, not really giving to themselves, supporting and nurturing themselves. So learning how to address that and change that can be really fundamental for people. And until you do that, as I say, you can kind of rest but not really get what you need properly in that sense. So that's what I call emotional tiredness.
Okay, and what's the fourth kind of tiredness?
Fourth kind of tiredness is, and I haven't really thought of a really good name for this, so I call it environmental tiredness.
Okay.
Which sounds a bit like your garden is tired, but I don't mean that. Environmental tiredness. Now, if you think about the human body, we were designed to breathe and move and drink, and also your brain has different patterns throughout the day, different rhythms. So at times you're in a more creative rhythm, at times you're in a more logical rhythm, at times we're meant to rest. So if you think about a human being through the day, you're meant to do activity, be social, be creative, rest, maybe meditate. There are lots of different things that feed us at different points through the day. A lot of people don't really know that. In our Western general society, we aren't very in tune with that. So for a lot of people, just lying there watching TV can be really exhausting. You can feel really, really genuinely tired. And yet, if you went and did something different, it would actually release or relieve that feeling to some extent. So sometimes my mantra around this really is go and do something different. If you're doing an activity, you've been doing something, even if it's rest, for a really long time, or for a period in the day and you're not feeling good, try doing something completely different. Try breathing, going into the garden for a bit, going for a walk if you can, whatever it is. Just do something different that gets you out of that rhythm and out of that environment as well.
Well, it's almost like there's a certain energy that comes from joy and inspiration, of thinking, that's something I really want to go and do. And there's we don't want to go into adrenaline, but there can be a kind of a natural release of biochemical support to actually want to go and do that thing.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, that comes into it too. What you want to do and what you really feel, in small ways and big ways, you want to do in that moment can be a big significant factor in that too. So again, just to summarise, 4 types of tiredness, which are physical, pure physical tiredness. Not a lot of it for most people is really pure physical tiredness. Wired and tired, lots of people are in that state. Emotional tiredness and environmental tiredness. And of course you can be any combination of these at different times. The key, as you say, is learning to navigate so that you're addressing the kind of tiredness you're in at the point you're in it so that you can actually learn to do something about it positively.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you, Anna. Hope that's been helpful to people watching. If people want to find out more, an information pack, 15-minute chat's a great place to start. Thank you for watching. I'm looking forward to speaking with you again soon.